Hey everyone, so in this video I'm just going to make it kind of an all-encompassing video, just composing up a variety of different things. I hope you guys enjoy it, and it's all coming to you from the WoC region, so I will be doing some rating at the end of this video if you guys want to see some of the defensive teams that people are using in the WoC region. So first things first, I'm very happy to see that trauma kits have been brought back to the WoC region, so people could end up getting a secondary S-Class Dr. Stevens if they really wanted to, or they could just keep getting tokens in order to pull off of a trauma stash. Now, I've made a couple additional pulls off the trauma stash, gotten 3 whetstones as well as 250 Minerva cards. I'm pretty happy with my pulls off a stash. Of course, it reset because I moved regions, but I'm okay with that. At least my rewards aren't going to waste. Now, the commissary ended, I think, earlier today, and you know what? It was a really good event. There were some really great options in the commissary, and you had the opportunity to earn a fair number of shanks. I did end up pulling for some shanks with some coins because I was able to complete a couple offers, and I got the 4,500 coins from finishing at least 3 seasons in Diamond 5. I think I finished 4 seasons in Diamond 5 actually. Mostly what I picked up from the commissary were the S-Class cards, armory tokens, and then any war cans that I could get my hands on. It was really great to actually stock up on the war cans before WoC 3, so I was very excited for all the cans that I got. Now, when we move over to the season store, we have a variety of different options. This weapon, Mia's Violent Pistol, I've had a number of people ask me, is it worth it? And to be honest, I think it's a very good weapon. Mainly, it's a very easy weapon for anyone to use, and it benefits almost every single attack team. The team player ability is what makes this weapon really good, giving that plus 15% attack as well as plus 35 crit chance to all toons adjacent, including to the toon holding it, gives a huge attack boost, as well as it increases the chance of disarming an enemy, putting up a guardian shield, rampage, and these are just a few examples. Anything that relies upon a critical hit to activate will benefit from this weapon being on a team. Now, if a leader holds this weapon, every single toon on your team is adjacent to your leader, meaning everyone benefits from this weapon. Now, the question is it really worth 90,000 season tokens? To some people it is, but in my opinion, I would focus on getting the princess cards first if you don't already have princess. If you don't have princess, pick her up. Even as a 6-star, she is incredibly valuable because of her active skill. Next, the second weapon is Jason's weapon. Now this weapon is a little different. It's unique. You have plus 35% attack, a huge bonus to AP when attacking, bonus crit, so plus 50 crit chance when attacking enemies of more than 50% HP. The 4th slot gives plus 50% attack when the enemy has more than 50% HP. So slots 3 and 4 kind of work hand in hand, and I think this type of weapon would be ideal on a blue waist knot toon. I say waist knot toon because off of basic attacks or even off of a toon's rush, any additional damage that would have been done to the target if they had more HP will be applied to an adjacent target. Now, it still is not the most ideal weapon, because if we did have a blue waist knot toon, double attack and rampage of course wins out. Like, this weapon would be very good to use in onslaught, for example, where you want to use individual basic attacks to kill the enemy because you don't want to rush. So this type of weapon would apply a huge amount of damage to the individual target, which makes this weapon useful against teams that have camouflage, because you're only applying damage to the initial target anyway, and it's at a high damage percentage. Now, slots 3 and 4 will not work on a toon's rush unless they're a toon that does multi-attack rushes. So we're thinking Disarming Earl, we're thinking Priya, we're thinking Mr. Jones. These are just a few examples of toons that perform multiple attacks when they end up rushing, because all of those are considered basic attacks. What I don't like about this weapon is that once an enemy toon is below 50% HP, the 3rd slot and the 4th slot do not come into any play for this weapon. I think that I will still end up picking up this weapon somewhere down the line, but I don't see it as useful as the team player weapon, to be perfectly honest. Like, of course, you could try crafting team player onto this weapon, but what I like about Mia's weapon over this one is that it already has a very desirable 4th slot, meaning you just have to craft like a huge bonus to AP when attacking, and maybe more attack, maybe get rid of the 3rd slot, but that's up to you. Overall, a lot of players are trying to craft team player weapons with 15% attack and plus 35 crit because it really benefits the majority of attack teams, especially the ones where you don't have a true attacking leader toon, meaning a toon that gives at least plus 40% attack and a huge bonus to AP when attacking. Moving on to the other items in the season store, princess cards, pick them up. If you don't have a princess, this is your chance. And even if you have one, a second one is not a bad idea. Tiffany, if you want to collect her, you can collect her, but I just don't find her to be that effective of a character. While in the region, I've been able to work on my weapons a little bit. I added 5% HP to this weapon, hoping for 5 more HP, and I would be very happy with it. Mia's weapon, I did pick it up. I did end up adding a huge bonus to AP when attacking. I really like that team player ability, and I'm actually going to show you why I like it. And I'm just going to kind of create a team on the fly and try to have at least 4 team player weapons on my team. It's actually a little surprising to me how many team player weapons I have. I've crafted team player on Mercer. I have a green weapon that has team player on it. I have 2 yellow weapons that have team player on them, including Dr. Stevens' bound weapon and that impenetrable hammer that I mentioned before. I also just picked up that red weapon. So ideally for this attack team, because I'm running Priya as a leader and she's a ranged toon, I want to make sure I have as many ranged toons behind her as possible. Mercer, of course, for his team player weapon. Doc Stevens to help me rush fast. And because he has that team player weapon, I think I want to use a yellow command toon because I do have that team player hammer. I don't think I have a red command toon, but if I had even a 4-star or 5-star red command toon, I can't even think of someone who's a red command toon at the moment actually. But just for the sake of this video, I'm going to be using Ivanova on this team instead of Aaron, because Aaron has a bound weapon, and I have not upgraded it to a 5-star weapon, meaning I can't weapon swap on that red team player weapon that I just got. So instead I'm going to use Ivanova and give her a team player weapon. And immediately, you can see the big attack boost to Priya. My Priya has 21,000 attack at the moment, and that just goes to show you how powerful team player can be. It's applied as a leadership skill, so it's not going to be seen in a match, and if you do see an attack boost in a match, it's a limited time buff. Now, I'm not going to be fighting a Mercer team right away, I don't think, because Mercer provides too much RNG. I want to find a true defensive leader, so Pete, for example, is a great choice. Whenever I fight Mercer teams, I like running my own Mercer against them, as you know, because a defensive Mercer doesn't have an HP or defense buff. They just have a huge bonus to AP when taking damage, as well as stun at the start. So this team is pretty tanky. We have Double Trader, we have Frost, Rolito is kind of an interesting choice, and we have a Pete lead. Now, something I've noticed a lot is that whenever I run Ivanova, traders always end up infecting her first, which kind of makes sense. I'm guessing the AI is identifying that she is a green toon, so they're targeting her. So with this knowledge, I will definitely be using Ivanova more in WoC, because if I can force traders to end up targeting her in particular, I'm only using her for her turn 2 active skill anyway, so I'm okay with losing her after that point, as long as it diverts attention away from my damage dealers, like Priya, like Princess when I run her, like Mercer, like a command toon that I use. Ivanova in some ways is kind of like my sacrificial lamb when I need her, but she's also just such a diverse toon. I really enjoy running her because her active skill doesn't only focus like Aaron, but it gives that attack boost, which is limited, of course. But the focus ability really helps me because I can target anyone behind a human shield. I can ignore those effects of taunt and confuse, and I can use things like attack up when taunted mods, because if I'm focused and I'm taunted, I still get the boost, but I can do whatever I want. I also like that being a green toon, she's able to hold a stun on attack weapon, and even her rush is pretty good. She can apply minus 25% defense to a line of enemies, which really helps all my attack teams out, because all of a sudden the defense is a lot weaker than before. Now this video again is just to show you guys some of the defenses that I'm seeing in WoC. It doesn't mean that these are people's actual defenses. A lot of people have fake defenses up. Some people are changing their names so that they're the same name throughout the whole faction, and that way it's hard to remember who has what team, especially when players have similar prestige, similar rep, they have similar level, so it's just very difficult to identify, and it's a pretty good strategy, to be honest. I personally am at less liberty to change my name away from Link, just because I would be unable to change it back to Link. Link, for some reason, is against their TOS, so if you try to set your name as Link, it'll tell you you're unable to. So if I ever change it, then I'll need it to be manually fixed. Going back to the video, I think you'll notice that all of my damage is basically coming from Priya. With her double attack and rampage weapon and all the team player weapons around her, she is hitting so hard and causing so much damage to the enemy that it's pretty ridiculous. Just the amount of carnage that she leaves behind is crazy. And right now, like you see it, this is an example. Someone has an Abraham lead up, someone else does, so that's their bot. Ulysses, everyone is trying to hide their main defense for WoC, but I think we all know the main show is in how fast and how effective you can actually attack. Like, my defense isn't very good, and it's never going to be that good unless I put down some heavy coins and get lucky and get a lot of weapons, and I just don't foresee it happening, so I just keep working on my own attack and doing the best that I can. I'm not always successful with my attacks, but being a free-to-play player, I do the best I can and have pretty good results, I think. Anyway, thank you everyone for watching and listening to my video. I will be streaming WoC as much as I can this weekend, so please feel free to tune in. I would love to see you guys on my chat.